you'd think somebody'd know how to build a diesel engine that would start in the middle of winter, wouldn't you?
Well, how about a system that'll assure that same engine that's giving you trouble will start easily, quickly, and dependably, no matter what the temperature?
Terrific. I suppose you want to sell me the Brooklyn Bridge, too, right?
Wrong. I want to tell you about the DIESELMATIC system, manufactured by the technical leader in designing safe and effective diesel engine fluid starting systems, KBI, Cold Ban International Limited.
DIESELMATIC. Huh?
Right. The DIESELMATIC is a patented, fully automatic engine fluid starting system. It's designed to inject a controlled amount of starting fluid into the air intake system of an engine, both during and immediately after cranking. If you're interested in improving your vehicle's performance, if you want dependable starts, less wear and tear on your battery and cranking motor, reduced idling time, then you need a DIESELMATIC system.
Wait a minute. I'm from Missouri. Show me.
I'll do that. Let's begin by taking a closer look at how diesels start during cold weather. To ignite vaporized fuel, the diesel engine uses heat created by the compression of air in the combustion chambers. Depending on the cetane rating, diesel fuel ignites at approximately 725 degrees Fahrenheit. This works fine until the temperature falls. As the engine temperature decreases, the heat generated by compression is partially absorbed into the cold metal mass of the engine.
So the fuel won't ignite. Believe me, buddy, I know all about that problem.
With the introduction of the new fuel-efficient engines, diesel engine manufacturers have recommended starting aids as warm as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. You can use a coolant or crankcase heater, but electrical power isn't always available.
Besides, they're expensive to use, and they don't always work when it really gets cold.
Another solution is to introduce starting fluid into the engine. When used in the proper quantities, it's combustible at about 360 degrees Fahrenheit. This then supplies a flame front, initiating diesel fuel combustion.
So you can get a cold diesel engine going with starting fluid. But what about when it starts and then idles rough or dies?
That happens when some of the chambers aren't warm enough to support combustion. Therefore, you must continue the flow of starting fluid for several seconds after the engine starts until it's running smoothly.
Well, I guess I could use one of these aerosol cans.
You could, but open aerosol cans spray as much as 12 milliliters in 1 second, possibly 10 times the amount you need. Just remember, this is one time when more is not better.
Okay, I get the idea. You want to sell me your product, right? But tell me, what's so special about this DIESELMATIC?
I thought you'd never ask. KBI makes it special, of course, by using up-to-date technology to meet the needs of today's sophisticated fuel-efficient diesel engines. The DIESELMATIC and DIESELMATIC Compact are totally automatic, state-of-the-art starting fluid systems, assuring dependable starts, even at minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit and colder. It operates only when your engine is cold, automatically releasing a precisely controlled amount of starting fluid vapor into the air intake system as you turn the key. The engine temperature sensor is a factory preset interlock, preventing the DIESELMATIC from supplying fluid to a warm engine. The field serviceable block or metering orifice is the heart of the DIESELMATIC system. This patented fitting controls fluid flow with a much higher degree of accuracy than other systems, releasing the exact amount necessary. The DIESELMATIC is wired directly to the cranking motor terminal. Fluid is supplied to the engine only if the cranking motor has been activated and the pinion gear engaged. The fluid vaporizes, entering the air intake system predominantly as a gas. This precise metering of starting fluid assures a higher degree of efficiency and safety than other systems. The patented solenoid-activated valve introduces a controlled flow of starting fluid immediately upon activation. A built-in reservoir maintains a flow for several seconds after the engine has started. This prevents the cold engine from faltering. To eliminate additional cranking during extreme below-zero temperatures or very high altitudes, install the KBI Arctic Kit assembly. For engines larger than 740 cubic inch displacement, use the larger reservoir valve. Each Dieselmatic cylinder contains the highest grade premium engine starting fluid. All of our cylinders are uniformly pressurized to allow fluid to flow at temperatures as low as minus 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Our ongoing research and testing programs have resulted in superior products and performance.
Those are pretty big claims.
We've earned the right to make them. We have numerous patents as proof. KBI's products are distributed through a worldwide network backed by a complete parts inventory. We maintain a modern plant, hire skilled workers, and buy from quality sources. In addition, all manufacturing processes are verified by a comprehensive quality control plan.
Okay, I'll bite. How do you cold test diesel engine fluid starting systems? Ship them down to Antarctica?
Well, actually, we have our own cold room, which is available to the industry for development and testing of cold start procedures and devices at temperatures as low as minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The cold room can handle tests on all sizes of diesel equipment, ranging from hand-crank 14 cubic inch displacement engines to others with more than 1,100 cubic inch displacement. Engines are tested at 24-hour intervals to allow a thorough cold soaking between tests. We've also completed field testing on engines as large as 13,000 cubic inch displacement.
What exactly do you test?
A typical test series includes the determination of such factors as the lowest temperature at which the engine will start without aids, the effectiveness of built-in starting aids such as block heaters and glow plugs, and the effectiveness of KBI Diesel Start or Dieselmatic products. We also test crankcase lubricants and battery capacity at various temperatures. Each cold room start is monitored on a recording oscillograph with channels showing the flywheel revolutions per minute, the battery voltage, the starter current draw, and the ether system pressure.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'll take one. But wait a minute. You're not going to tell me this thing is hard to install, are you?
As a matter of fact, the Dieselmatic system was designed for ease of installation. Before beginning, make sure you have the correct Dieselmatic or Dieselmatic compact appropriate for your engine displacement and voltage requirements.
Great. I'll get right on it.
Wait a minute. Since the starting fluid contains ethyl ether, which is extremely flammable and toxic, you must read and follow all precautions in our literature before beginning the installation.
Didn't I tell you I was a speed reader? Look, don't worry. I've read everything. And I got my safety glasses right here.
Permanently disconnect any manifold heaters and glow plug systems which might be installed. These could cause premature ignition of the starting fluid, resulting in engine damage. Proper nozzle location is essential to assure optimum performance of the Dieselmatic system. Choose an installation point which will allow even distribution of fluid to all cylinders. KBI's nozzle will fit most engines, but occasionally one will require a 1/4 inch NPT reducer bushing. When using a directional nozzle, the punch mark on the fitting indicates spray direction. Unless instructed otherwise, install the nozzle to spray against the oncoming airstream. On turbocharged engines, install the nozzle on the pressure side of the turbocharger. On engines without a pre-tapped hole or a tapped hole is not in the proper location, remove the crossover tube between the intake manifold and turbocharger, or between the intake manifold and air cleaner. The tube then can be drilled and tapped for the 1/8 27 NPT nozzle. Clean all chips from the inside of the tube before reinstalling it on the engine. Before installing the valve and cylinder assembly, remove the cylinder and protect the valve with a temporary cap provided. Using the mounting plate as a template, install the valve in an accessible location away from the excess heat of the exhaust system and protect it from road dirt, ice, and snow. Suggested locations are the firewall, radiator frame, and inside fender. Don't mount on the engine or drivetrain because excessive vibration can cause premature failure. You may mount the assembly up to 45 degrees from vertical, but the more you tip it from vertical, the more you reduce the cylinder's usable contents. Leave adequate clearance to change the fluid cylinder after installation. Never mount the assembly in the operator's cab. Remove the protective cap and install the dirt eliminator collar. Peel off the paper backing and place the collar, adhesive side up, over the DIESELMATIC valve. Hand tighten the cylinder firmly and slide collar up so it adheres to the cylinder. To prevent serious vibration damage to the valve, tighten the cylinder clamp securely to 60-inch pounds. Mount the engine temperature sensor switch in solid contact with the engine block. Never mount the sensor against the exhaust manifold or turbocharger since temperatures are too high. You can also use screw-in type sensors. Install them in the engine water jacket.
Okay, my DIESELMATIC is mounted properly. Now what?
Now you can wire it. First, disconnect the battery. The DIESELMATIC has 2 wire leads. Wire the colored lead to the fuse assembly supplied. Connect the fuse assembly lead to the M motor terminal of the cranking motor. Before wiring the black lead to the engine temperature sensor, check the valve for proper operation. Temporarily wire the valve's black lead to a good ground. Now, reconnect the battery. Place a container under the valve and activate the cranking motor momentarily. Fluid should spray from the valve only when the cranking motor is activated. Because of the high pressure in the DIESELMATIC system, don't repeat this testing procedure more than twice. This is especially important at temperatures above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. After verifying the proper action of the valve, wire the black lead to the engine temperature sensor switch. The DIESELMATIC's metered flow feature is controlled by the patented block-or fitting. Install it in the bottom of the valve. If using Teflon tape, avoid covering the filter. The block-or controls the fluid flow with a much higher degree of accuracy than other systems. Because of its special design and importance to the proper functioning of the DIESELMATIC system, it has a left-handed thread, so you won't confuse it with look-alike fittings. Finger tighten the block-or, then use a wrench 1 or 2 more turns. Route tubing from the block-or fitting to the intake manifold nozzle. To shorten, cut the tubing squarely. In areas of high temperature, use special tubing available from your distributor or KBI. Direct contact with exhaust system components must be avoided. Keep the tubing fully seated while tightening the nut. Finger tighten, then use a wrench to further tighten the nut about 1 turn. Avoid over-tightening, since the sleeve can distort or collapse, restricting fluid flow through the tubing.
Done. Now my truck will start no matter how cold it gets, right?
Definitely. Designed with heavy-duty components, the DIESELMATIC system meets the extreme conditions of commercial applications, but to be sure, follow manufacturer's recommendations concerning battery conditions, cables, fuel, and lubricating oils.
Yeah, that sounds logical. Anything else I should know? Problems? Maintenance?
The DIESELMATIC system can be checked using the following troubleshooting guides. First, check the fluid cylinder contents and the valve gasket for problems. Clean dirt from the neck of the cylinder and the top of the valve before removing the fluid cylinder. Protect the top of the valve from dirt when the cylinder is removed. As a cylinder nears the end of its usable contents, the length of typical cranking periods increases. To determine the amount of fluid remaining in the cylinder, weigh it. Then subtract the empty cylinder weight as marked on its label. The difference is the amount of remaining usable fluid. Make sure the fluid cylinder has pressure. Check the valve gasket. If the gasket inside the valve is damaged or worn, replace it with a new gasket. Use only one gasket. 2 will prevent the valve from operating. Spread a light film of clean oil on the gasket before installing it. The DIESELMATIC's fluid flow rate is controlled by the block-oar, the serviceable filtered metering orifice inside the fitting at the bottom of the valve assembly. To check the block-oar for clogging, remove the tubing and the system's nozzle from the engine. If the temperature is above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, remember to bypass the engine temperature sensor by grounding the black lead. If starting fluid does not spray from the nozzle when you activate the system, disconnect the tubing from the block-oar fitting. If starting fluid does spray from the block-oar when the system is activated, check the tubing for nicks, burns, cuts, or for a clogged nozzle. If starting fluid does not spray from the block-oar valve fitting, remove it from the valve. Remember the left-hand threads. Remove the sintered bronze filter and O-ring and wash the block-oar in clean solvent and dry it with compressed air. Place a new O-ring filter assembly into the block-oar. Don't allow solvents to come in contact with the block-oar O-ring. Before reinserting the block-oar assembly into the valve, flush the valve by activating the system. Do not activate it more than twice without the block-oar installed. Now, reinsert the block-oar assembly into the valve. Reinstall the system's nozzle into the engine. Reconnect the tubing to the valve fitting and nozzle. To check for electrical problems, see if a fuse is blown. Under a normal operation, DIESELMATIC valves should draw no more than 15 amps. If it does draw more, check the wiring for proper installation. Make sure there are no loose connections, shorts, or broken wires. Bypass the engine temperature sensor by connecting the valve's black lead directly to a good ground. Test the valve by removing the fluid cylinder and momentarily engaging the cranking motor. The valve plunger should move up and remain up while the cranking motor is engaged. Remember to reconnect the black lead after completing the check. If the valve plunger did not function, check the valve by disconnecting the leads from the cranking motor and ground. Momentarily touch the leads directly across the battery terminals. The valve plunger should move up and remain up until the leads are disconnected. If the valve doesn't activate when connected across the battery, it's faulty. Replace it. It is essential to replace only with a DIESELMATIC valve, since operator-controlled measured shot valves work under a totally opposite principle. They cannot be substituted and may cause serious harm to the system. Once the valve operates properly, check the ETS switch by chilling it to sub-freezing temperatures. At cold temperatures, the ETS should close, showing continuity. Check with a DC power test light or ohm meter. Shorting across the battery will instantaneously and permanently damage the ETS. At warm temperatures, the ETS switch should open, that is, not show continuity. If either continuity test fails, replace the engine temperature sensor switch. Depending on which ETS is installed, closing and opening temperatures may range from about 15 degrees Fahrenheit to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. This closing temperature is indicated by the first 2 digits of the number on the bottom of the sensor.
Whew, that's a lot to remember. I hope I can keep it all straight.
Well, don't worry. We stand by our entire product line. If you have any service questions, refer to the instruction booklet or contact KBI directly. With its proven engineering, KBI's DIESELMATIC system is fully automatic and economical, operating only when your engine is cold. And
It'll give me dependable starts, save wear and tear on my battery and cranking motor, and cut down on idling time.
by George, I think he's got it.
Thanks to you, buddy.